Okay, Jake, quick question, and I want you to answer it naturally, no thinking, just go.
Oh no, when you say no thinking, just go, it always ends badly for me.
Ready? Tell me about yourself.
What?
Go ahead. Tell me about yourself.
I mean, I'm Jake. I work here. I like coffee. I have a cat named Gerald.
Gerald.
He's a very serious cat, very professional, very judgmental.
So even you, someone who talks for a living, froze when I said, tell me about yourself.
Completely froze, and that is the most stressful question in the English language. It sounds so innocent, so easy, and then someone asks it, and your brain just leaves the building.
Goes on holiday. Okay, before we go further, hey English learners, welcome back to the English Leap podcast, your cozy little place to learn easy English through real, everyday conversations. I'm Anna.
And I'm Jake, and we are so happy you are here today, genuinely, because today's episode is one of those topics that sounds simple, but is actually incredibly useful.
Yes, today we are talking about how to talk about yourself in English with confidence, with ease, and without sounding robotic, boring, or like you are reading from a job application.
And here is our promise to you. By the end of this episode, you will know how to introduce yourself naturally, talk about your background, describe your personality, share your hobbies, and talk about your goals and dreams in real, confident English.
Not textbook English, not rehearsed English, real English. The kind that makes people think, wow, this person is interesting. I want to keep talking to them.
Which is the goal of every conversation, really.
And this is a B2 to early C1 level episode. So we will use natural English, useful phrases, and some stronger vocabulary, but we will explain everything clearly as we go.
And later, we will give you a full useful phrase round for talking about yourself in daily life. Simple phrases, but very powerful when you use them naturally.
Yes, so by the end, you will not just understand the idea, you will have real sentences you can copy, practice, and use when someone asks you about yourself.
And after that, we will have our word tour section, where we take the most useful words and phrases from today's conversation and show you how to use them in real life.
So stay with us, get comfortable, and let's do this together.
Okay, so why is this question so hard? Because honestly, it should not be. You know yourself better than anyone.
You would think so.
Right? You have been living in your own head your entire life. You are the world expert on yourself. And yet someone asks, tell me about yourself. And the brain crashes.
I think a big part of it is that the question feels too big. Like, where do I start? Do I talk about my job, my family, my dreams, my whole life story?
Do I mention Gerald the cat?
Probably not on the first meeting, but you make a good point. The question has no clear starting point, and that is what makes it feel overwhelming.
There is also something else. A lot of people feel self-conscious when they talk about themselves.
Self-conscious. Yeah, say more about that.
So self-conscious means you are very aware of yourself, how you look, how you sound, and what other people might think of you. You start asking yourself, am I saying too much? Am I boring them? Do I sound arrogant?
And that makes everything harder.
It does, because instead of just talking, you are talking and judging yourself at the same time, and that is exhausting.
And for English learners, there's an extra layer. You're thinking about what to say and how to say it in English. That's a lot happening at once.
It really is. And I want to say this clearly. That nervous, slightly panicked feeling is completely normal. Even native English speakers feel it.
Yes. So the first thing we want to do today is take the pressure off. Talking about yourself in English is a skill. And like any skill, you can learn it, practice it, and get better at it.
And that is what we're going to do, step by step.
Okay, let's start at the beginning. The introduction. You meet someone new. What do you actually say?
Right, because the version most people learn in English class is, "Hello, my name is Jake. I am 32 years old. I live in London. I am a podcast host." And then everyone just stares at you.
Yes, it sounds like you're reading from a very serious application form.
It does. In real life, it sounds robotic. It sounds stiff. And most importantly, it gives the other person nothing to react to. There's no personality in it.
Right. A good introduction gives people something to hold on to, something to respond to. It starts a conversation, not just delivers information.
Yes. So instead of, "My name is Jake and I am 32, you might say something like, "Hey, I'm Jake. I'm actually from a small town in the north of England," which surprises people because apparently I don't have the accent. And then you smile.
See? Already interesting. Already a conversation starter. People are going to go, "Oh, really? Where from?"
And now the conversation is moving. That is all an introduction needs to do. Give people a thread to pull.
A thread to pull. I love that. So you include one small, interesting detail, something that naturally invites a follow-up question.
Yes, and the detail doesn't have to be dramatic. It doesn't have to be, "I climbed Everest," or "I once met a president." It can be small and human.
Like, I'm Anna. I grew up in Italy, but I've been living abroad for about 6 years now, which means I spend a lot of time missing Italian bread.
And that is a great introduction because it's warm, it's a little funny, it's personal, and now I want to know more. Where abroad? What kind of bread? What do you do? Where are you going next?
All because of bread.
Never underestimate bread.
So the formula, if you want to call it that, is your name, one sentence about your background or current life, and one small human detail that invites a response.
And don't worry about being perfect. The goal is not to give the perfect introduction. The goal is to make the other person feel comfortable and curious.
Right, because first impressions...
Oh, first impression. Tell me what you mean by that.
Sure. A first impression is the opinion or feeling someone forms about you the very first time they meet you. And it can happen quickly, sometimes before the conversation is even warmed up. So what you say and how you say it in those first moments really matters.
But here's the good news. A first impression doesn't have to be spectacular. It just has to be genuine, warm, real.
Yes, and that's something anyone can do.
Okay, so you've introduced yourself, the conversation is going, and then someone asks, "So where are you from? What's your background?"
And again, that is a big question. There's so many ways to answer it.
Right, so let's start with the basics. Background in conversation means your history, where you grew up, where you studied, where you have worked, and where you come from culturally or professionally. It is the story behind who you are now.
Your origin story, like a superhero, but hopefully with fewer explosions.
Hopefully, I would prefer a calm origin story.
Same. So how do you talk about your background naturally? The key is you tell a short story, not a list.
What do you mean?
So instead of saying, "I am from Egypt, I studied engineering, I worked in Cairo for 3 years, now I live in Dubai," you might say something like, "I grew up in Egypt, actually in Alexandria, which is this beautiful city right on the Mediterranean. I studied engineering there, and then I ended up in Dubai a few years ago for work. And honestly, I love it here."
See, that is the same information, but a completely different feeling. The first version is a list. The second version is a person talking.
Yes, and notice the small additions. Actually, honestly, this beautiful city. Those little words and phrases give your speech personality. They make it feel natural.
Right, so a few phrases that help when talking about your background are,
"I grew up in." This is a very natural way to talk about where you were raised.
"I studied," or "I have a background in." These are useful for your education or work experience.
And I really like this one. "I ended up." It suggests life took you somewhere, maybe not by a perfect plan, but it worked out. I ended up in Berlin. I ended up in tech. It sounds real.
Because life rarely goes exactly to plan.
Almost never. And I ended up acknowledges that in a very natural way.
You can also say, I've been living in for your current situation. Or, these days I'm working in marketing. These days I'm based in Seoul. Very casual, very current.
Yes, and here's a useful tip. Connect your past and present. Show the journey. For example, I studied architecture, but I ended up going into project management, and actually, there's a lot of overlap.
See, now I'm interested. What's the overlap? Tell me more.
Exactly. That is the goal. Every sentence should open a door slightly so the other person wants to walk through it.
So tell your story like a conversation, not a biography.
Beautifully said. Okay, here we go. One of the most cringe-worthy moments in English. Someone asks, "So how would you describe yourself as a person?"
Ah, yes. And somehow everyone says the same 3 things.
I'm a hard worker. I'm very passionate. I'm a people person.
A people person? What does that even mean?
It means absolutely nothing at this point. It has been said so many times that it has lost all meaning.
Right. So how do you describe your personality in a way that actually sounds like you?
The secret is show. Don't just tell. Instead of only saying, "I'm curious," you say something that shows it. Instead of only saying, "I'm funny," you give a small example.
Yes. So instead of saying, I'm funny, you might say, I'm the kind of person who makes little jokes when the room feels too serious. I like making people feel comfortable.
That tells me much more than just, "I'm funny." Now I can actually imagine you in a conversation.
Exactly. It shows the personality instead of just naming it.
Yes, and that is so much more interesting than just saying, "I'm funny." It is specific, it is visual, it makes people smile, and it tells them something real about you.
Right. So let's give listeners a few phrases that help describe personality naturally.
I tend to be, for example, I tend to be quite organized, or I tend to overthink things. It sounds self-aware without sounding stiff.
Nice. Another one is, people say I'm easy to talk to, or people say I'm a bit too honest sometimes. It sounds natural because you are showing how others see you.
And another very useful one, I'm the kind of person who. For example, I'm the kind of person who makes a playlist for everything. Or I'm the kind of person who can't leave the house without a plan.
Oh, I am definitely the kind of person who makes a playlist for everything.
Of course you are.
And notice, all of these phrases are honest, specific, and a little bit personal. That combination is what makes a personality description feel real.
Exactly. And you do not have to only talk about your strengths. You can mention something small you're working on or something a little imperfect. That actually makes you more likable.
Because nobody connects with someone who sounds perfect.
Yes, we connect with people who feel human, people who have little quirks, people who are a bit of a mess sometimes.
Gerald the cat, for example, is a mess, but I love him.
Gerald is a whole personality.
A difficult personality, but still.
And that is exactly the point. Personality becomes interesting when you give it a small scene, a small habit, or a small truth.
So don't just label yourself. Show us a little moment that feels like you.
Beautifully said.
Okay. Hobbies. This is where people either come alive or go completely flat.
Flat how?
Well, the flat version is, I like reading, I like cooking, I like going for walks. Full stop. End of story. And then the other person nods politely and changes the subject.
Because there's nothing to hold on to.
Right. But if you talk about your hobbies the way you actually feel about them, it becomes completely different.
Yes. And this is where a really useful phrase comes in. I'm passionate about.
Passionate about. Yeah, what does that actually mean compared to just saying, I like?
So passionate about means it is not just something you enjoy. It is something that genuinely excites you, something you care deeply about, something you could probably talk about for a long time if someone let you.
Right. So when you say, I'm passionate about cooking, it tells a different story than I like cooking. It says, this matters to me. I invest time in this. Ask me more.
So let's practice, Jake. What are you passionate about? And don't say Gerald.
Okay. Honestly, I'm passionate about music, especially old records. I spend some weekends going to small music shops looking for albums I have never heard before. There's this whole little ritual to it, choosing the record, playing it at home, and just sitting with the music.
See, now I'm interested. Now I want to know which music shops, which albums, what that little ritual feels like.
Because I didn't just say, I like music. I gave it color. I gave it texture.
Yes, and that's all it takes. Add one or two specific details. Why you love it, how you got into it, a small memory or story around it.
You might say, I got into photography a few years ago, actually by accident. A friend lent me their camera for a trip, and I never really gave it back.
A very natural way to get into photography.
Very natural. Maybe not very honest.
True. Return the camera, Jake.
Fair, but now there's a story, a friend, a trip, a camera that was never returned. I want to know more.
So the formula for hobbies is simple. Name it, add feeling, and add one specific detail.
And don't be afraid to show a little enthusiasm. When someone talks about something they genuinely love, it's engaging. It draws people in.
Yes, enthusiasm makes your English feel alive because people can hear that you really care.
And it's honest, and honest is always better than impressive.
Right. So instead of trying to sound special, just talk about what you really enjoy in a specific way.
Small detail, real feeling, natural English.
That is the sweet spot. Okay, goals, dreams. This one can make people feel very vulnerable.
It does, doesn't it? Because talking about your goals means letting people see what you want. And then you start thinking, what if I don't reach it? What if they judge me?
Yes, and that fear stops a lot of people from even saying their goals out loud.
But here is the thing. Saying your goals out loud, especially in a conversation, can actually help you. It makes them feel more real. And sometimes it connects you with people who understand, support you, or even help you get there.
And you do not have to say something huge like, my goal is to be a millionaire by 30. You can be much more human about it.
Thank goodness. That sentence is a lot of pressure.
It is. You can say things like, I'm working towards. That sounds honest and active. I'm working towards getting my certification this year. Or I'm working towards moving abroad.
Nice. Or something I really want to do is, very natural. Something I really want to do is start my own business one day.
Yes, and one day is useful because it softens the dream. It says, this matters to me, but I am not pretending it's happening tomorrow morning.
Tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock, new business, full success.
Exactly. Too much.
Another good phrase is, I'm at a point where I want to. Like, I'm at a point where I want to go deeper into design, or I'm at a point where I want to slow down and be more intentional.
Intentional. Very modern.
Very podcast friendly.
True, but it works. And the key to talking about goals confidently is to connect your goal to your why.
The why?
Yes, why you want it, what it means to you. Not just, I want to start a podcast, but I want to start a podcast because I love the idea of creating something that helps people feel less alone.
That is immediately more powerful and more believable because now there is a reason behind it, a feeling.
And it opens the conversation. The other person can say, oh, what kind of podcast? Or what made you think of that?
So goals with a why invite dialogue. Goals without a why just sit there.
Exactly. And one more thing, you do not have to have everything figured out.
That's important.
It is. It is completely okay to say, I'm not totally sure yet, but I know I want to move in this direction.
That's honest, and it still sounds confident.
Yes. Pretending you have all the answers is not confidence. Saying where you really are, calmly and honestly, is confidence.
And sometimes saying a goal out loud is a way to put yourself out there.
Put yourself out there. Good phrase.
To put yourself out there means to show yourself, express yourself, or share something about yourself even when it feels a bit risky.
And in this case, it means you're not hiding your dream completely. You're sharing it in a calm, real way.
Not shouting it from a rooftop.
No rooftop required.
Just one honest sentence is enough.
Exactly. And that's a confident way to talk about your goals.
Okay, this is the balance a lot of people struggle with. You want to come across as confident, but you do not want to sound like you are bragging.
Yes, and come across is a useful phrase here.
Right. What does come across mean?
To come across means how you appear to others or how people perceive you. For example, I want to come across as professional, or she comes across as very warm. It is how people experience your words, your tone, and your energy.
Exactly. So the goal is to come across as confident, but still warm and approachable.
And the difference between confidence and arrogance is actually quite simple. Confident people can talk about what they have done. Arrogant people make it sound like they're better than everyone else because of it.
Big difference between I'm proud of what I've built and I'm the best at what I do.
Very big difference. One feels grounded. The other makes people slowly look for the exit.
Right. And in conversation, confident people also listen. They do not just talk about themselves constantly.
Real confidence includes asking about the other person, showing curiosity, being genuinely interested.
A phrase that strikes that balance perfectly is, I'm really proud of. You can use it for something you worked hard on, something that genuinely means something to you.
Yes, not I'm amazing, just I'm proud. It is personal and human.
Or, one thing I've learned about myself is, this shows self-awareness, and self-awareness makes your answer feel mature and real.
For example, one thing I've learned about myself is that I do my best work early in the morning, which is annoying because I also love staying up late.
Real and relatable.
Confidence also comes through in how you handle what you don't know.
How so?
Instead of pretending, you can say, I'm not sure about that, but I'd love to find out. Instead of apologizing again and again for your accent or your English, you can just keep going.
That's a big one.
Confidence is not the absence of imperfection, it's continuing despite it.
And here's a word that comes up a lot when we talk about this. Humble.
Humble. What does that mean in this context?
Humble means you are not arrogant. You are grounded. You don't think you are better than others. A humble person can talk about their achievements without making other people feel small.
And being humble does not mean putting yourself down. That is a common mistake.
Yes, humble is not, oh, I'm not that good, honestly.
Humble is more like, I've worked hard for this and I still have a lot to learn.
That kind of person is easy to be around. They're confident and approachable.
They make you feel like there is room for you in the conversation too.
And that is the version of yourself you want to present when you talk about yourself in English. Clear, warm, genuine, and grounded.
Confident enough to share, humble enough to listen.
And now that we understand the feeling behind it, let's give listeners something practical.
Yes, real phrases, natural ones. Phrases for when someone asks about you and you want to sound genuine, fluent, and relaxed.
Right, and let's do this slowly because when you talk about yourself, you do not need one perfect speech. You need a few small sentences you can use in different situations.
Beautiful. So let's begin with the first moment, introducing yourself.
First group, simple introductions.
Okay, I'll go first with a very natural one. Nice to meet you. I'm Anna. I'm originally from Italy, but I've been living in Dubai for a few years now.
Nice. That gives your name, where you're from, and where your life is now. Simple, but complete.
And here's another one. I'm based in London at the moment, but I'm actually from the countryside, which makes London feel a bit intense sometimes.
London is a lot.
It is so much.
And if you want a simple work version, you could say, I'm Jake. I work in media, mostly audio stuff, podcasts, that kind of thing.
That sounds natural because that kind of thing makes it feel casual, not too formal.
So once you introduce yourself, people often want to know a little more about your story.
Right, so let's move into background.
Second group, talking about your background.
Okay, here's a simple one. I grew up in a really small town, so moving to a big city was quite an adjustment.
Good phrase, quite an adjustment. It means the change took time to get used to.
And here's another one. I studied literature at university, which surprises people because now I work in tech.
Nice. That gives contrast, and contrast makes your background more interesting.
You could also say, I've worn a lot of hats over the years.
Worn a lot of hats. Very visual.
Yes, it means you have done many different things, maybe different jobs, roles, or responsibilities.
And another warm one is, I ended up going into teaching completely by accident, and it turned out to be the best accident of my life.
That one sounds lovely. It has a little story inside it.
So now we have introduced ourselves and we've talked a little about background. The next thing people may notice is personality.
Yes, how you describe the kind of person you are.
Third group, talking about your personality.
I tend to be quite quiet when I first meet